Welcome to CathyDSlaught's SRC4u Zoom call for August 30th, 2021. We're here on Cathy's website, CathyDSlaght.com. To access the Zoom call, we'll scroll down and look for the Zoom banner, which is right here. To access the call, we'll just click here. The SRC4u Zoom call is a demonstration of the SRC4u software. If you would like to be part of Cathy's client group, you can click on this banner, follow the information. There is a monthly fee. To access the Zoom call, we're going to click here. This is going to take us over to the Zoom platform, where I will open in a Zoom app. I will approve the audio. The call will be live.
You might remember a while back that we did that greatest need scan, and it came up that it's top priority to clear stress related to discarnates, which was kind of a new term for me. I didn't know what to think, but of course I found a document on Scribe, and with that, it's a huge document, so I'm still reading. But it really has prompted some thought. I'm going to share with you what I've got so far. A discarnate is a soul, and we're surrounded apparently by souls with no bodies. These souls want to come in, and they're waiting, although their body may not be this reality. And ironically, the guy who prepared this document and did the clearing for people in reference to this is a dentist. So we weren't far off when we were talking about teeth. He apparently began to do some hypnosis for patients that had phobias about dental work. In doing this, he began to get information on reincarnation and what he refers to as discarnates that were in their field. And in the document, he says this is an issue for about everybody. That you have the souls without bodies. They want a body, and for the most part, it's not a good situation. But I'm just going to go over some of the codes we have so far for this. It's thought-provoking, and go from there. But the ancients, and you know, already know, by the way, there is a new post. I went a few weeks without a post. I'm trying to get back to the weekly posts on the site. But we know that the ancient spiritual texts were all in numbers. They were all codes. Everything around us, the matrix, is all numbers. So there is merit in working with these codes like we're doing. So in reference to this possibility, could there be negative influence by other disembodied conscious beings? A few things, and I just put them in alphabetical order. What we want is active intelligence. Another term for this is the mind of God. And that is simply using our own conscious ability to make decisions and not being influenced by other energies. They say one sign of having a discarnate influence is your responses are not appropriate. Here's a code just to block any detrimental physical and emotional conditions. Here's Christ consciousness, which, you know, Kevin recommended we send to those that we're having issues with. Now, you can have alcoholic spirit attachments, and down here you see drug addict spirit attachments, all kinds of things according to the document. It can create a problem with your experience of love. We're working towards unconditional love. There's clear all intrusion by unwelcome non-physical parasites. Ironically, I don't know if anybody remembers, about a month ago, I went into that healing numbers site, and you can see what people have been asking for, and usually it's pretty wild. But there was someone that asked for a code to remove astral parasites. And at the time, I thought, oh, that sounds weird, but let me check if our group had a priority for that code, and we had a 97% priority. And so I ended up putting it in the mastery for 90 days. And I'm wondering if that at work every day in the mastery opened up this information for us, because that is what these disembodied energies can be compared to, if there even is such a thing, and it would be parasites. Here's another clearing. Here's clear false guilt, which can come from other souls, interference from deceased human beings, karmic debts. This one I did not have a code for, but I put it anyway. Clear negative interference by non-physical conscious beings, clear phobia, deflect non-beneficial discarnates, deflect visitors from the lower astral plane. What he speaks of in his book, we have the lower, middle, and upper astral plane. The lower is what, for example, in the Bible, it talks about where there is weeping, wailing, and gnashing of teeth. So that's your lower astral plane, and we definitely want to deflect that. Depossession, divine light of God. I'm just now at the part in the book where, and it's just overwhelming information. I got to take it slow. This is what the Japanese do to clear this type of thing. And as you really start to study this, you realize that up until about the 1800s, when psychiatry came in, this is what the people believed, that illnesses on any level, mental, physical, etc., were these disembodied souls. And so it's not new information. It's just technology is now picking it up. And so it's coming back to the forefront. And this is what the Japanese do. They send this energy right here, divine light of God. I mean, we have empowered conscious choices. This one we already had in here, that the field of another incarnated soul, which could hinder the journey and evolution of your soul. And that's what also I think we'll end up with a lot of good information on soul purpose. And apparently when this contamination occurs, our soul purpose gets a little distorted. You may notice fractured soul comes up often in our scan. That may be in reference to interference by another soul. There's destructive emotions, mental programming. We can douse in God consciousness. Now, this isn't interesting, and I'll explain this a little bit later. I do not consent. It's brought up that we're supposed to have free will. So where does that fall in if any of this is relevant information? So one thought, they say, according to this dentist who wrote this deep book, before we come in, we lay out our life plan. What if part of that life plan was to have this challenge? Now, this one, there was not a code, but it was brought up. Inappropriate effect on sexual gender by spirit attachment. In other words, you're a female, but then you get a male attachment. Is there an impact? Inappropriate overreactions. Of course, to increase voltage is going to be very beneficial. That's what we're doing every day with our SRC. We want to call in invisible helpers from the spirit world to help lost souls. If you get a chance, when I send this information out today, I'll send a link, not the link, but the name of the document I'm getting this information from. But also on Scribe, there's a book, Remarkable Healings, and that's interesting. This is a psychiatrist who discovered this same thing. The only thing is, she refers to all of these energies as demons, and it does not look like that's the case. Many are very confused earthbound spirits, if any of this is valid. And what she did also is called in angels to take them back to the light. It's thought-provoking. Now, this was interesting also, just to be so careful with any type of mediumship or channeling, because you could pull in some lower astral plane entities. Here we have love, neurosis, no fear. Many have a fear of working like this, and that's, so I added that. We're going to get some mental residues. Obsessive compulsive could be related to what we're talking about. Pretty much repeating now here, prevent the ego's sabotage of life plan. According to the document, what happens, we come in, we get our body, and it doesn't take long before we become very concerned about this body. We want to preserve it at all costs, and that leads, of course, among other things, competition, etc. And that's the ego. That's our computer operator of this body doing that. Again, I added this one, protect the subconscious mind from infestation by discarnate beings, protection from earthbound spirits, self-responsibility, shield, spirit attachment, spirit possession syndrome, spirit releasement, spiritual evolution, spiritual healing. The mind of God overshadows all substance, unconditional love, and will. So, again, the way I'm looking at this, first of all, what does it hurt? And I was sharing this information with one person who said, maybe it wouldn't hurt for each of us to scan ourselves every day for this kind of thing. So let's look at it. See where we are. It's going to all be very subtle. It's far out information.
So, Cathy, last night, one of the things I heard was that if people have crystals that they feel are very powerful, that lots of times they do have a soul to them. And if they happen to break, that soul gets loose. So it's like a disincarnate crystal. And that also if people name their crystals, that almost like pigeonholes the crystal so it can't go to its full benefits. I thought that was interesting.
There's so much. This is out of my realm. So all of this is like, whoa. But I do have in there, I don't know if you noticed, but in our scan, sometimes we want to clear our crystals. So that is, I didn't think of that in this light, but you're right. It's just information. Let's see where we as a group. And really, the more, this powerful upgrade we have a little freedom to do a little more work on this kind of thing.
I know about cleaning your crystal, but someone was interested in mine, and then I was told that I have to deconsecrate it because it's a pranic healing crystal and it's been consecrated. Has anyone heard of how to deconsecrate a crystal? I don't mean to get off topic, but...
No, that's not off topic. I don't know anybody. That's a good question.
I would guess you could probably, for one, work with the SRC and create avenues that way, for one. Mm-hmm. And I think so much has to do with intention, from what I understand. So I think we all have, just like we're supposed to be at med beds ourselves, we have the capability to do that kind of stuff. It's just taking the action steps and working with both of those avenues, the SRC and your own intentions.
Yeah, and we have been given with all we're gaining such knowledge. Even if it's ancient knowledge, it's coming back. We have the technology now to work with it. So yeah, I think the SRC would be powerful along with intention.
We also have, for those of us who have Dr. Kersey's discs, we can use that. And you can also, I've programmed water by just putting, writing the name and putting that on the water, setting the water on it. So those kinds of things would work also, I think.
Thank you. You might, Marty, even find a code in there. You might want to type in, whatever phrase you use there. What was it called? Deconsecrate?
Yeah, deconsecrate was a term that was used, and I'm thinking, well, if I deconsecrate it, then the person who receives it, are they going to know that? Because they may not have see or whatever.
Yeah, wow.
It's too short and fat for my hand, is the deal.
Oh, my goodness. Well, as you all were talking, I was just going ahead and dowsing these things in. Here's what this active intelligence, you see that value. We're strong with that, but still, I guess it had to come to mind. The idea with active intelligence is, we've got the intelligence. Let's take some action and learn as much as we can. Now, this clear alcoholic spirit attachment, they say that if there is an alcoholic soul that can somehow get in, they want to drink. So it doesn't look like that'd be a great benefit. Let's just see. Now, when it goes to just a 99 and the number was very low, 6, let's just see if we want to add it to the shin. Or do we want a charge? We want to do the Tesla 3 times, 6 times, or 9 times. remember, they say our awareness of this is 80% of the job. So far. Okay, so we'll take the Pro Tools. Let's see what we've requested today. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the elemental. And this would be positive. And this is another barrier, supposedly. Our expression of love can be impacted. What's that? Oh, sure. You just make sure I know where we're ending. Okay. How's that? Thanks. Yeah.
Stop. Could you mute that microphone?
Okay, again, we've got a little stress here in reference to this code. So again, let's see. I'm looking at this number. I'd like to see it over a 70, but you'll have your own way, you know, to do this also. Okay, so we'll take a charge on this one. And I personally like to see how long. So this one's going to take a little more than 5 minutes, but we'll start with the 5 minutes, come back to it. Obviously, increased voltage, that's our entire focus with this work. So the Chinese refer to it as qi. We're a little low at this moment in time, but it's going to take it up to 100. And according to the document, he said that's one of the things is that we just won't talk about this. It's taboo. Of course, it's hard to believe that it could be valid, but I'd say those of you that want to scan it on a regular basis, just see what comes up. It could be very interesting, and it could clear some issues on many levels if it's valid.
Can it hurt?
What's that?
What can it hurt?
You got it. And, you know, it's kind of funny. I also thought in my teaching days, I had this friend named Dot, and I thought, of course, she was Methuselah. She was probably in her 50s at the time. But she had a little saying, she was always getting all these things done, and her favorite thing was, it only takes a second. And so this doesn't take that long, especially, I'm doing this because of the group, but you can just paste all of it in. You don't need to go over each one if you don't have the time. So this final one under 1,000, we're asking to permanently, but remember our field is like a river, they say. So we want to, even though it says permanently, the field will shift from time to time. So every moment, actually. So again, you might just want to do your scan every day. And that's right. What can it hurt? Okay, now what did I just put in there? I think that was charge. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll charge it later. Minimize this. We're going to have some charging to do, obviously, today. The other thing, we can scroll down to it. We have this is what I have been doing. This is not in any alphabetical order, but what you can easily do, just go ahead and scan it. We're talking subtle stuff here. Nothing we have to dwell on or stress over, but get your information. Our energy is clear. Don't need to release any stuck energy at this moment in time. Here's a little stress related to wholeness. So we can go ahead and copy that and douse it in. Okay, and again, we're taking it up to the 101, and this kind of keeps it in with the Tesla 369. We've got this in twice now. This electron flow is one of the things they say the vaccine interferes with. I don't know. And this is always good. Who doesn't want some miracles?
I just saw where Robert David Steele died.
Yeah, isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Very sad.
Of course, again, we know there is no death, so he's up on the other side, probably continuing his work. But it's hard for us to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a little chronic stress in this miracle code and accepting it. Let's just see. Oh, it's dousing up us. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. This morning, early, I had someone who wanted the mastery on the miracle thing. So that'll be interesting. See how that turns out. And if you want the Pro Tools.
Maybe we should run miracles for the planet.
Wouldn't hurt. Just
Boy,
test
oh
it.
boy.
Yeah, I like to test priority for chi. And you can, even this discarnate clearing, you can run situations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we really don't want any more right now on this miracles. We'll just leave it as it is. That's what we're asking for as a group. We have an awareness, though. Now this one, these are just codes that I personally add, and I don't send them out because you're going to have your own individual codes, but for the group, this is just clearing a little negative interference. And we see we've got a little stress with it. I'm just going to go ahead and edit one more time and then come back later and do the charges on these others that came up. So this, as you do this kind of work, it really opens your mind to consider a few things you might not have considered. We have been so drawn to the psychiatry for clearing some of these things, and that may not be the best choice. One of the things he says in the document is that clinical depression is so often a discarnate. So something to think about. Let's see if we want any of these cocktails. Remember we have, pardon?
What do you mean when you say that might not be the best thing?
I didn't hear what you said.
What do you mean when you say that might not be the best thing?
Well, we just were looking at our energy, and there's a big plan. We have a master plan in place that we aren't always privy to.
I agree somewhat with that. In fact, but the thing about it is that it's just like when we get into talking about doing healing for people. A lot of times, in fact, one of the people that states this is one of my teachers, Raymond Grace. Raymond Grace says you don't have to ask permission to heal somebody.
Right, I know he does. I'm a great fan. Well, I'll tell you what I'm comfortable with. If it's a situation, we're all a part of that situation because we're one. And if it's a mother asking for her child, that I'm comfortable with. But personally, I don't work otherwise unless they ask. But that's just me. And I know, many say that if we do the work without permission, they can block it.
Well, the other thing is if because we all are one, if we know about it, that makes us a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all. I'll show you as soon as we get through this. Something I'm doing right now. So it looks like all we wanted was the session startup cocktail, and so we'll let that be. This is over the weekend I was reading about the people of Canada, and apparently now if they speak up at all, they can go to jail. They are not allowed to say anything. And so I just went in and said, priority for Qi. Can I work on this stress for the people of Canada? And I got a very high number. So I'm running this, and it's been running right now over. Look at that and how related. Look at that. My goodness, look at that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very high right now.
So what it looks like is that perhaps nutritionally, the absorption. This I hadn't noticed that before. I hadn't given it a close look, but that's pretty wild.
I think Australia is doing just about the same thing too.
And New Zealand, I don't know though.
Yeah.
Well, according to many, this is what it takes for us to awaken. So you see here, we're asking, if you can't see it, I typed in preserve theme, preserve options, menu controls. We do want to preserve our options. Let's go ahead and enhance so we don't lose anything. And preserve. And now this, again, it's powerful. Update.
You don't want to do that.
What's that?
You want to not preserve until you wonder click, and then preserve.
Oh, thank you. Okay, all right.
Why is that, Kevin?
It won't preserve then, though.
No, mine always preserves with no problem.
Yeah, it looks like, well, let's see what happens as soon as this scans.
It doesn't have a chance to do the automatic balance on the option side.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah.
So Kevin, then you just have to stop it and start it again and then preserve it?
Yeah, because mine doesn't anyway. We'll work with that later. But I guess we could do that. Let's just see what happens. All right.
That's how I've been doing it a lot lately.
Yeah, all right, let's do that. All right, now remember Friday, we we had the male energy that we were working with. Today it's the female.
You talking about this coming Friday?
What's that?
This coming Friday?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you said we had a male nurse.
No, last Friday, our focus was male energy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this girdle meridian is interesting. All weekend as a group, we worked on the stomach. But again, all subtle energy coming from the etheric field, but this is very much more powerful, which I'm surprised at. It was already powerful. And then I realized, when I was in real estate, my friends first said, Cathy, you'll never find anything to show because I have a terrible sense of direction. Well, that may apply to computer stuff too, because I didn't realize, I forgot, I'd been told that we could also just hit this theme box and get our information. So of course, we've loaded a few things in. And maybe that's not going to work the way I'd hoped. There we go. So you can see now, as we realize, you've got the stress right here, option, internal, and then over here, the what we can then move into to clear it. So we've got some stress related to the sinus. Let's just look and see where we are with that. Again, it's not a major number, but it's there. Stress related to degeneration. That is in reference to cold. Circulatory system. We don't really have to add anything when we look at this. We're getting information, but it is our choice. Pancreas, the organ, at this time it's liver, lung meridian, element. Again, their stomach. We've been doing a lot of work on the stomach. Defensive action, idealization, emotion. I can't pronounce this. Piquant. Anybody know? Piquant? Well, that's, okay, thank you. Words to ponder. Once over the hill, you pick up speed. And that can be looked at in a couple of ways. If we have the book The Stand with a 108-year-old lady that's going to do some powerful work, that sounds pretty good. Emotions, similar to female pregnancy. Again, if it is true that we're on the verge of this Great Awakening, we are about to give birth to something very wonderful. Somber, peace, ego's a little haggard, and the resistance factor, just excess conditions in general. So let's go in here. Let's just see what we can load up. How about we activate the software in our subconscious mind? Because we do have some pretty powerful equipment. Got the mediator and then the sustenance balancer. Now again, I'll go ahead, I'm not going to do the scan at this point, but this is really unbelievably powerful, more so than I had realized. And you can go in and send a lot of information this way. This is simply the yang and the yin. Again, very subtle information. This is a great way also to charge your water every day. You can go in here. You don't have to do a scan if you don't want to. For example, here's a great code, Accelerate Healing. You can just go down. And depending on the circumstances, you might want to go down and do each category, all that stuff, all that water, all that food, etc. Just, you know, if you have the time. And then finally, okay, I may not have included, I'll include it tomorrow. We have an I do not consent prayer for the prayer warrior. I thought I had sent it to myself, but maybe not for this computer. Let's see if we are in the physical condition to manifest at this moment in time. Yep, look, a little bit low of chronic, but it's coming up. And I'm going to leave some of this, your general and personal options, but let's scan this last category down here. Okay, so we want to load a custom cocktail. You see that 104 right there? Wouldn't hurt while we're here. These are just a couple more things we can check. See if we have an area of focus. Nope. See if we want any light on any of these patterns. That's with this upgrade, I think we have a lot more time that we can put into actual manifestation. Again, nope. See if we want an angel scan. Oops. Okay, that one, I'm glad that it saves us a little time. I am amazed at how often people want this angel scan, and of course the angels are just representing certain vibrations. Move down here. Well, I'm trying to finish this.
Do we have
manual. You have I sent it out, yeah.
the angel scan? Okay.
I did, yeah. This is where you can check and see if you want to include anything else. Not today. Trying to get down here to the custom. And this is always going to be a work in progress.
Cathy, question.
Yeah.
Do our bodies automatically go through a detox? Does it detox itself?
Yeah, we're completely self-regulating. We should be able, when our energy is the way it needs to be balanced, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Unfortunately, if our voltage gets low, we may need a little assistance. So this is where we want to go today in reference to a scan on diabetes and then also allergy. So again, as you know, all this is in here. Oh, here is this. I did send it. This is, if anybody wants it, I'll send it out today. This is the I do not consent prayer. And if this fits in with your own belief system, you're welcome to it. You can put it in the prayer warrior, actually. I thought I do not consent is the name of it. Well, that is in there. I'll send that out. So, and then also, I have the mastery scan in case any of you are working with the mastery and you come up with any of these codes that want the mastery, you can scan to see how long you want it. So that's in there too. We're rich on cocktails, and you really don't, you can almost just go into, for example, I'll show you in a minute. Let me get up here. There's your detoxification, Ron, if you want to do a little bit more work.
Yeah.
We don't have much. Look at that very little bit on diabetes. So that's interesting considering what we probably should have. Let's look up here. That's what I thought. I just didn't make the list. So let's do Chinese acupuncture at this moment in time, and then I'll upgrade that list. Let's see what else we've got. Allergy. And again, it doesn't have to be complicated. Just go in here. Let's just do a generic allergy. And then we've got kidney, sciatic, skin, radiation, sugar, which is interesting, shoulders, health, blood pressure. These are all things we can add as we go. I don't know that we need to overdo it at this point. Let's do one more. Okay, so this leaves the mediator. What would you like to mediate this week? Any thoughts?
Silence.
Silence. Let's see what we've got here.
Miracles.
Miracles. There you go. I like it. Let's just joyfully accept miracles.
Good.
For just a moment. This one and also the timeline, I guess, according to Ralph, don't hammer it. So I've been like at the beginning of the week, starting the mediator if I want it or someone wants it, just starting it and doing one a day, letting it balance out. And that may be too extreme. Maybe we can do more than once a day, but we've got the tools. They're not going to run out. We've got them right here. So we can take our time. So we're not quite, look at that. We're a little bit at this point under as far as pro when it comes to accepting miracles. We're going to take 11 minutes. So let's do it. So, okay, anybody have anything to add?
Nada.
Nada? Okay, I think we're good.
What were the books that you were talking about?
Me?
Yeah.
I'll put them in our little mail out. I can't think of the names off the top of my head. I think it literally inscribed, it's just called Discarnate. And it is not a book in that sense. It's this guy's treatment plan for working with this. And it's thought-provoking. I don't know what to think, actually. It's way out of my ordinary work. But I'm thinking it's something we need to at least be aware of. And you do see things where people completely destroy their lives. It makes no sense as to what they do. And then yesterday also I was talking with someone who, she is more in tune with this kind of thing and actually saw the energy of a policeman who'd been shot trying to enter a body in a hospital. Again, this is out of my lane. I don't understand any of this. But
anybody go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Anybody that spends any time in hospitals, almost 100% of the time, is going to pick up a discarnate.
Whoa. Okay, thank you. Well, that's interesting because I did continue to do this clearing on a friend who's in the hospital over the weekend, and with that thought, what can it hurt? That makes sense. I think it might extend to bars, and they say, believe it or not, another big area is churches.
That's true.
So there's something to learn here. There's a lot of information out there. We don't need to focus on it, but it doesn't hurt to do some clearings just to get the information.
So are discarnate souls always dark, or can they be?
No, they may be just very confused and lost.
Yeah.
According to this document, what he says is there's such fear and so many approaches in the religious approach is, yes, they were all dark. He says that is not necessarily the case. And for example, the policemen that got shot, they're confused. They don't know what happened. And, but they still are not supposed to be there. We all come in with a sole purpose. And especially, I think, at this time on the planet, if we're here, we've got a job. And what happens when this other energy comes in, that distorts our own sole purpose. And that's, I talked with someone else yesterday, and we're talking rational people here, all right? And she had been told, and she's had one thing after another in her life, and this is what it says in the document, is that we often have more than one. One calls in another, and the next thing you know, you've got a bunch of them. Is it possible? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
When my wife was alive, she used to work with a group called Spirit Rescuers.
Mm.
And it was very interesting because she'd do all the work from her home, and they'd go into these different places, and they're checking out these different old institutes and stuff like that. And my wife would be able to sit there on her computer and tell them if there was anybody located in there.
Wow. What was the computer? Was it a certain software?
Pardon me?
What was the computer? Was it a certain form of software?
No, she could just zoom in on them. I don't,
Wow, yeah.
She did it like through a Zoom or something. I don't know how she did it.
Wow.
But, she worked out pretty good with that.
Well, it looks like it's something we're getting knowledge on. It goes way back. And, but Jesus, in the healings that Jesus did, many of them involved casting out what they referred to as spirits. So, there's some interesting information here. We know now that the matrix is all a bunch of codes and numbers. We know, there's other information in there. So, it's something we apparently had to address, or it wouldn't have come up in our scan.
When I saw you this weekend and you mentioned the word discarnate, I always wanted to comprehend why the indigenous, on their holy grounds, when they laid their relatives to rest, why they didn't want you on the ground, because they considered it holy ground. And so going back to this word discarnate, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like hospital, churches, and what about like cemeteries? So with all that, it's like maybe the indigenous tribes had were advanced knowledge and knowing that you don't disturb the resting, so to speak.
Yes, the indigenous, the people had some very special knowledge. I read in Africa when they went in to give them their vaccines, and these were people that never had this kind of energy, medicine, and they gave them vaccines, and people were very open always about talking about what they could see in other worlds, and they lost that with the vaccines. That was gone. Now again, information, is it true? I don't know. But we do know that the indigenous, the shamans, etc., did work more with the unseen world. They were more aware of it, etc.
It reminds me of our pranic healing work. About 80% of it is clearing out and cutting cords from negative energies,
Yep.
From all the organs. And they also have us kind of smudge the house. Like yesterday I smudged with Palo Alto, I believe it's called. Wood that you can light and it smoke. I guess that's why the Catholic Church does the smudging to clear out things.
Yeah, it's interesting, and like I say, it became taboo to discuss it. You sounded, and even to a point still today, but it looks like it's information at this point it was time for us to have. And I really think what might have opened up the information is that we've been receiving this clearing in the mastery for removing astral parasites. And that might have opened us up to this next step, and that it might not be a bad scan to just very consistently do, not in fear, or relating to any stress, just business. Makes sense.
Annie will appreciate this. I like garlic, and relating to the sage, I have this huge bowl of garlic that I sit on in the kitchen on the counter because I use a lot of garlic when I'm cooking. Anyways, David was mentioning how he didn't care for the garlic smell, and he said it was very strong, and I sniffed it and I'm like, no, it's not too strong. He does. So I moved it last night.
That's funny.
No such thing as too much garlic.
Oh dear. Okay, well, is anything else? Looks like we're done. Okay, everybody have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Cathy. Thanks for starting our week so nicely.
Thank you, Cathy.
Yeah, thanks,
Okay,
Cathy.
take care.
Wonderful.
You're welcome.
Have a great
Thank
day,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Love y'all. This concludes the SRC4u Zoom call for August 30th, 2021. Thank you for attending. We look forward to seeing you again. Till then, take care and be well.